Hello, World Geography students. I am going to be going over a few different countries in the region. We're going to start with Pakistan and Bangladesh, and then we'll get to Nepal and Bhutan, and finally we'll talk about Sri Lanka and the Maldives. So, to begin, we have Pakistan and Bangladesh, which used to be West Pakistan and East Pakistan, and before that it was a part of India. Here's the Pakistan flag, which you can see has the crescent moon, which is used a lot in Islam, so you can tell it's an Islamic country. And then here's Bangladesh, and it has a very similar flag to Japan, except for it has a green background instead of a white one. Now for vocabulary, just a few things that we will cover in more depth on the next slides, but the Indus Valley civilization, which if we go back, the Indus Valley was mostly over Pakistan and into India, so right in this area. Okay, so they go back all the way to 5,500 BC, so it is a very old civilization. We talked about that a little bit in the India PowerPoint, and we'll talk about it a little bit more. Partition. So this is a dividing up of states. So we're going to talk about how India got broken up into Pakistan and Bangladesh. Kashmir is in northern India, and it is a highly contested area between India and Pakistan. Microcredit. These are small loans, usually with low interest given to developing countries. Okay, an entrepreneur, usually a business operator or someone who creates businesses and manages them. And finally, Ramadan, which is part of Islam. It is the 9th month of the Muslim year, and it involves fasting. We'll talk about that towards the end. So, early history. Pakistan and Bangladesh are closely associated to India, so closely, in fact, that they were part of India well into basically the 1800s when the British owned them. Okay, 2500 BC in the Indus Valley region. So you have the Harappa and Mohenjo-daro are the two great cities that developed in this region at that time. Okay, and you had the Aryans, which we talked about in the India PowerPoint, and they invaded in 1500 BC. So they came down, and these, remember, Aryans, white people from, the Pakistan area, that general area, they came from like Russia and from other Muslim countries. They invaded and basically pushed people further south, the darker skinned people further south into India, and so that's why they have that separation now. And then the 1850s, British controlled the area. So, partition. They had the division of British India. So, what happened was when we were done with the Raj, if you remember that was a 90-year occupation from British occupation of India. And so they basically divided it up, and they're like, okay, well, here's West Pakistan, here's East Pakistan, here's India. The problem was you had a lot of people who were into Hinduism and a lot of people who were into Islam. And that's mainly the reason why they had to break it up, because you had so many fights over like who should get what because of religion that they finally went, okay, Hindus, you guys can have India. Islam, we're taking Pakistan and Bangladesh, or at the time, West Pakistan and East Pakistan. So that's why they did that. So India and Pakistan were created in 1947. So that's when they split up. They were just like, we can't handle each other. We're done. And that's when you get the Indian flag and the Pakistan flag. All right. So in Pakistan, they fought several destructive wars with India over the territory known as Kashmir. So if you think of India and the northern part, hang on, let me see if I can, here, if I escape, let's do it this way. All right, so Kashmir is right up here. You can even see it's labeled that way here. Let me zoom in there. There it is, Kashmir. So you can see it's close to Pakistan, so they fight over this area. But obviously it is part of India. Okay, so I go back to where we were. And there we go. Boom. Okay. And they still fight over it. So this is part of the region. They fight over it, and it still belongs to India, but Pakistan wants that territory as well. So it's very highly disputed. So here you can see in 1947, it's disputed. This area is disputed, still disputed in 1972. And then China got involved, yippee skippy. So there's all kinds of stuff. But this is all India, technically. Ceasefire lines. So this is where they basically said, okay, you can't, we'll stay on our side, you stay on your side, yeah. And as you can see, is this is actually part of Pakistan. So India even claims part of that, and really that's part of Pakistan. So there's a lot of issues there. Okay. Obviously, you have, here, let me go back really quick. Okay, notice in 1947 it was West Pakistan, East Pakistan. 1972, by that time they'd already changed it to just Pakistan and Bangladesh. They were further enough away that they just became two separate entities. So, with Pakistan and Bangladesh, just like India, they have struggling economies. With agriculture, it's fairly poor area. So they have subsistence farming, which is just enough agriculture to feed your family, but not enough to really make a profit on and to bring yourself out of poverty, I should say. Okay, they have very small industry. They're trying to industrialize. They have cotton garments. Sometimes you'll see some of your clothing comes from Pakistan. So sometimes they'll say made in Pakistan. More rarely you'll see made in Bangladesh, but they do have stuff that you can buy there. Wool carpets, microcredits. So other countries might give them small loans to open up businesses, realizing that if we help out our neighbors and stuff like that, then everyone can benefit. Entrepreneurs, those are people who build businesses. So obviously we're trying to get more of that working in those countries, because the better they do, the better we can use those resources that they have. And then their country does well. One religion, many people. So they have Islam. Islam is the main thing in Pakistan and Bangladesh. They have different prayers and customs based on that, but they still follow the main tenets of Islam. Ramadan. This is all seen through Islam. It's a 1-month period of fasting from sunrise to sunset. So you can eat after sunset, which is fine, and that's what they do, but during the daylight hours, you don't eat. Little kids are not part of this, but I believe once you turn basically teenage years, so once you hit 12, 13, usually it's about when they hit middle school, so 11, 12, 13, those years. Kids have, especially if they live in America, they have the option sometimes where, since you have to go to school and it's really hard to, not eat and focus, they can either follow Ramadan, which is they don't do it and they'll have to wait until they get home and it's sunset, or sometimes they're allowed because, they're working, they're growing. But it's generally seen, especially as once you're an adult, that you really need to be following this if you're going to be practicing Islam properly. All right, so that's the end of Pakistan and Bangladesh.